Hey guys, it's lunchtime. It's on a Friday. We're going to do some game design. Now that we've completed the conversion of the Unearthed Arcana Scion from Dungeons & Dragons 2024 playtesting, we finished that last night. So now we're going to get back into converting the fighter class into the color mana system that we have built. It's already published on the DMsGuild. We're just updating everything for 2024. We don't actually have marshals converted to mana yet on the DMsGuild. We have the spellcasters up, the color mana system is up, but now we're going to go through and make sure that all 14 classes use the same mana as a core resource so that there is a ubiquitous, united language of resources between all classes and subclasses in D&D. So that's our endeavor. Go ahead and look at the pretty picture here while I check on my social medias and stuff like that. So I just need to check my signal to make sure that we're live and direct. And then I'm going to just click and update the there we go. Okay, cool. So we're up and running. And it sounds like I'm coming through okay. Is that true? Mic check, mic check. And it sounds like I'm I am. So let's drop that down to as minimum as I can get it so that it doesn't get in the way. But I like to hear it. I like to have a distant echo so I can hear what's going on with it, just in case the stream goes dead. I want to make sure I know that I've dropped my signal. So I'm going to ramble here for a couple seconds with my origin story while I click a bunch of social media buttons. So bear with me here for a moment and we'll get through this. Clickety-clackety, clickety-clack. I've got my link here. I can hit the social media post. So, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I've been creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition since 2018. I've actually been a DM since 1987. I've been a Magic the Gathering enthusiast since 1994. A freelance illustrator since 1999. And creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018. That got triggered by the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica being released by Wizards of the Coast. The first time that they've taken Magic the Gathering and dropped it into the D&D game engine. And but they took the idea of Ravnica and they converted it into the 8 schools of Magic and the Vancian spell slot system, which is the core mechanic for Dungeons & Dragons. I don't blame them for doing it, but all the previous editions, when they came out with something new, they would create unique mechanics that would complement the style of that setting, and that ends up, well, I think we've seen with both TSR and 3rd edition, that shatters the base. So you start creating these different factions of people that are interested in different content, and you can't please all of them. So 5e is technically wiser than 30 by taking ideas and bringing them back into the core mechanics, but the loss of flavor and mechanical depth, it hurts. So when they didn't create color mana, that got me motivated to create a color mana system that we can start using with spellcasters. And once that got put in place, it then came to, well, you know, only the casters are benefiting from this color mana system, but all creatures in Magic the Gathering are tied to this identity of colors. So how do we express that with martial characters when they don't have a mana pool? Well, let's give them a mana pool. The monk has one already, so let's just rebuild that. And then between that and the warlock and all the other class, like the half casters, we can build a new system. So we have, and we've been playtesting it for the past year. And it's getting down to the nitty gritty where it's a pretty good piece of machinery. Right now, we're just looking for errors, flaws, over-tuning, and undervalued options that we need to fix. So we're going through our playtest document to do that. And let me fix my screen here real quick for you guys so I can get to work here. So for those that want to tag along, the playtest, here's a bunch of books that I've already created on the DMsGuild. They're all free previews, so you can click the free preview button and check them out. If you think they're cool, consider buying. Here's the Color Mana bundle for you to check out as well. Again, full preview. Today we're going to be working out of the Martial Powers playtest document, which is in Google Docs. It's here. When you look at it, it's going to be read-only. So bear with us while we go through the process of creating this thing. But it's here for you guys to mess around with, and and all the classes are built from level 1 to 20. All the subclasses are in here. currently we're just going through the process of making sure all the information is thorough. One of the things that we're discovering in the playtesting is we've been using these ideas called empowered actions, which is where you can sacrifice your action economy to generate additional mana to be able to basically perform battle master techniques, essentially, perpetually. As long as you're willing to give up action economy, will give you mana to then use whatever action economy you have left to use those powers with. So you're doing less, but the things that you do punch more. Between reactions, bonus actions, and attacks and movement, it's too much. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have to throw away movement altogether. Currently, we in the last, say, 12 playtests, we have allowed movement to be surrendered to gain 1 point of mana. But that just encourages people to get into a position and stand still, which is one of the main problems of the game. By pushing people and punching them around the battlefield, you can instigate them to have to move again to use that movement instead of sacrificing it for actions. But if they can get into a place where they don't have to or aren't being moved, then it generates too much mana. They start overclocking the encounter. So we're going to trim back movement. Reactions we're allowing you to sacrifice for 1 point of mana. Bonus actions, depending on what level you are, depends on how much mana it generates. And then when you take the attack action, most marshals only get 2 attacks in the attack action. So you can sacrifice each attack for 1 point of mana each. And often you can use your bonus action to trigger spell-like effects like maneuvers and stuff. So you can sacrifice all of your attacks and use your bonus action to do something with, like, say, 2 points of mana at 5th level. And then your turn's basically over. You've got your movement and your reaction left over. Or if you're making an attack roll, you could sacrifice your second attack to boost, say, the damage on the attack roll. And you could also sacrifice your bonus action to give yourself some extra mana to either ramp your attack, like your D20 roll, or to ramp your damage or cause some sort of kicker effect. So that's the idea behind that. It's a little overtuned by allowing us to use movement. So we're dropping movement, though the rogue has the steady aim option that if they surrender their movement and stand still, that generates mana for them to be able to do precise attacks and stuff like that. So that they can trigger their own sneak attacks. So that still feels good, but now that becomes a class exception, which breaks the rules, because D&D 5e is all about base mechanics, and then both 5e, 4e, and 3e are about exceptions. Here's your base mechanics, and then each individual character class can break those rules with these exceptions. So let's see. We're going to scroll down. Here's all the different powers. We're going to end up looking at those, but we're going to open up a second tab over here to look at individual powers, because we're going to look at the bonus power lists that the fighter has access to see what exists inside of there. We already took care of the barbarian. We've completed all the information about the barbarian completely, all the class features, all the 2024 subclass features, and all the Forsaken subclasses that did not graduate to 2024. We converted all of those as well. And Path of the Wild Mage, yeah, Storm Herald, yeah, they're all in here, and they're all current with the different abilities. So just like casters, when you gain levels, you get bonus powers. And just to summarize all this, all these classes are using a half casting system. So the barbarian, fighter, monk, rogue, they're all using a half casting structure of level 1, 2, 3 at 9th, 4 at 13th, 5 at 17th, and we get a power die. And a power die is like a cross between a bardic inspiration die, a martial arts die, a battle master's maneuver die. It all falls in that same. The power die serves that all of those sort of purposes. So as your character gains levels, the power die scales up. Let's see, preparing powers, martial powers, temporary mana, all the stuff in there. The mana comes to you on a short rest, and you can sacrifice action economy. Casters, you can't sacrifice action economy to cast spells unless there's a specific caveat that says that you can, and there are a few caveats that allow that. But for the most part, you regain mana on short rest. All the classes have little means of generating additional mana, like the fighter, for instance. Second Wind, Tactical Recovery. When you activate Second Wind, rather than regaining hit points, you can regain a number of mana equal to the max rank of power gained as a fighter. So at first level, you only get 1 point of mana back. But you only have 1 point of mana as it is right now anyway. And then, of course, by 17th level, that becomes 5 mana. But you have multiple Second Winds. Like, you get 2 Second Winds at first level. So that's 2 free points of mana pretty much anytime you want to take them. And then as you gain levels, you get more and more Second Winds to take advantage of. So that'll end up being an extra 20 mana at 17th level that you can generate. Let's see. And what, you get back 1 on a short rest? Yeah. So you end up getting a shitload of mana. So you can do a lot. You can do a lot. It's enough mana for you to be able to keep up with what full casters are capable of doing. But it's at a lower, like you have more actions to do things, but each thing does less than what a full caster can do. Full caster can basically do one really impressive thing per turn, and they have a ton of mana to do it with, but then they're kind of done. The marshals have multiple things they can do, but the things that they can do are generally less impactful than what a full caster can do. So overall, between a full round of activity, if everyone has something to do with their bonus action or reaction, all the classes can basically churn out the same amount of power. And by having a preparation system built into the martial characters, you now have that same character building factor that goes into like spellcasters basically get like 20 extra feats that have a resource attached to them, which is kind of like spells are. This gives marshals that same flexibility and like deck building system that was so fun in 3rd edition. Like, each level is like an extra card added to your deck, and as you continue to gain levels, you get a bigger and bigger battle deck that customize how your character resolves threats and helps your party. So this adds a lot of that character deck building idea back into the game, and makes tactical combat a lot more fun because there's so many tactical, like tanking and control and movement, damage, a counter reaction effects. There's a ton of stuff in here that lets you dive deeper into the machinations of tactical combat. That 5e for a tactical combat game is actually pretty light on tactical options. So this adds a ton of tactical options into it. So having said that, fighter class features, tactical mind, you feel attacked and you use a second wind instead of regaining hit points. You roll a d10, add the result to an ability check. We're already aware of what this thing is, so that's cool. Your feet, extra attack at 5, tactical shift, and the second wind, you can move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks as a bonus action, right? Indomitable power, fail saving throw, you can re-roll it. 2 extra attacks, studied attacks. When the attack roll misses, you have advantage on your next attack roll. That's fantastic. 3 attacks, and there you go. So then we have our archetypes of power. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit here, and then we're going to drop down here in this document to look at the list of powers to make sure that the bonus powers that we get still exist as listed here, because we've had a number of updates to the powers, but I haven't necessarily updated the bonus power lists for all these, so I need to do that. And then we have our handy class list over here in case I forgot to write down what a feature does. We can copy paste the feature and then modify it for use with mana. So diving into it here, this is basically like, you know, character update stuff. So if you think this stuff is cool, I'm here 9 times per week, Monday through Friday in the morning. I do artwork, and I'm gonna separate this into its own layer. Drop down here. There. And grab this like that. And okay, great, we're good to go. Okay, so the first power that this is the Battle Master that we're looking at. Obviously, with all the powers that we're incorporating, basically all these maneuvers, which can be done as an action or a bonus action, the Battle Master's lunch gets completely eaten because everybody gets a power die now. right? And everyone gets maneuvers now. So where does that actually like leave the Battle Master? Why is the Battle Master special? Well, everyone also gets strikes and smite powers now. So how is the Paladin better? The Paladin is just better at smiting than anyone else. If you want to be really good at striking damage on hit, be a Paladin. If you want to be really good at using maneuvers and reactions and coordinating your team, then be a Battle Master. So we're going to go through the process of what these bonus powers are, and then we're going to look at the subclass features of the Battle Master, and we're just going to go through all of them to make sure that they're accurate. So Anticipate is a first rank reaction. It's as a reaction to when a creature within range of your melee of your weapon attack that you can see makes an attack roll. Before they roll to hit, you can make an attack against it. And then you can spend additional mana to roll a power die for each point of mana. Roll 1 power die per mana spent as a kicker, adding the highest result. So you'll spend 1 point to Anticipate as a reaction in the first place to attack. When you see somebody drawing, like when they reach for their gun, a gunslinger would have a reaction ready and use Anticipate to attack first. That's how you win in a gunslinging fight, by cheating that way. But then you can also spend additional mana to roll power dice, and the highest result of all the dice that you roll, you'll add to your attack roll. So super useful, but it eats up your mana, so it has a cost. Coordinated attack is a maneuver, so let's go down to coordinated attack. It's a maneuver which can be done as an action or a bonus action. Coordinated attack, you empower 1 ally per mana expended this way, at least 1 to activate it, right? So, but if you, like at 17th level, you can spend 5 to have this affect 5 allies at the same time. You can empower 1 ally per mana expended this way that you can see or hear, you to use their reaction to make an attack. Rolling 1 power die per mana expended this way, adding the highest result to the attack against the target you and your ally can see. Rolling to make a weapon attack is probably the best way to word that. To make a weapon attack. I don't need to capitalize it for emphasis. Weapon attack. There. Rolling 1 power die per mana expended this way. So at 17th level, I could spend 5 mana to trigger 5 allies to use their reactions to attack a target that they can see. Rolling 5 dice, adding the highest result to the attack roll for each target that's capable of using the reaction to attack the target that we designate. So really, I mean, that's just a Battle Master maneuver that's been ramped using mana. Let's see. And then at 5th level, we have access to second rank powers, but we don't necessarily have to take a second rank power. We can take any rank power anytime we want as a bonus feat. Once you have it, you don't have to prepare it. You always have it. So like I could have, like, for example, Sweeping Strike is a second rank strike attack, and you have it. You could get it as early as 5th level, but by 13th level, you get it for free. So if Sweeping Strike has been a part of your combat routine for the past 12 levels, by the time you get here, it's like, great, I just freed up that prepared space. I can now prepare something else because now I have Sweeping Strike as a power forever. Water's so good. Cooperative Effort is a reaction. No, it's an exploit. Exploits modify actions and die rolls. So Cooperative Effort, when using the help action to grant advantage to the ability check or attack of an ally within 60 feet of you, you can also roll 1 power die per mana channeled, which is going to be a minimum of 1. Roll 1 power die per mana channeled, adding the highest result to the ally's die roll. So if you're helping with an ability check, you can ramp it with mana. If they're making an attack roll, you can ramp it with mana. Disarming Strike is a strike power. Strike powers work like 2014 Paladins, that when you hit something, you spend mana as part of an on-strike effect. Paladins can use their bonus action to add more dice of damage than you would normally be able to do so they can outsmite anybody else in the game. But anybody using this martial power, any martial character that learns a strike power can fold can use their mana to ramp damage and do effects. It's just Paladin can do more of it. So that's how the Paladin stands out. But in the end, the Paladin can't do more than what a character would normally be able to do in 5e24. It's the rest of the classes do less. So it's, if you like the amount of damage that a Paladin can do with strike attacks when using a bonus action, you can keep doing that with the system and still spend the same amount of mana out of your mana pool to do it. Overall, it's the same. It's just every other class does less. So, but they all get a taste of it. Kind of like how the Rogue with their Cunning Strikes, they can sacrifice sneak attack dice to do like a limited modified form of like a smite attack. So it's kind of like that. Disarming Strike is a first rank strike power. We call them ranks instead of levels just to diversify. Disarming Strike is there. Disarming Strike, your weapon deals extra damage equal to 1 power die per mana expended. So you deal extra damage of whatever type of damage your weapon is dealing already. And the target must make a strength saving throw with disadvantage against your channeling DC, which is probably going to be, it's either strength, dexterity, or intelligence for a fighter. So you would, DC is calculated like normal. So they make a strength save against your channeling DC, and then you add the result of the highest power die that you roll. So not only are you rolling those dice to deal damage, you add all the dice for damage, but you keep the highest one to determine how, like, to increase the DC of them holding onto their weapon. And then, if it fails, the object lands at a location of your choice within 10 feet of the target per mana expended. So at 17th level, you can spend 5 mana, an extra 5d10 worth of damage, roll 5 10-sided dice, keep the best roll, add it to the DC of their strength saving throw, knock it out of their hand, and you can flip that, whatever item they were holding, you can flick that item to anywhere within 50 feet of the target. So you can kick it off to an ally if you wanted to. Once we start playing Strixhaven, Strixhaven's Mage Tower as a combat sport, Disarming Strike would be a really, like, on a, like, an opportunity attack. If somebody's running by with the ball, you could use Disarming Strike to knock the ball out of their hand, deal damage to them on the way by, grab the ball and flick it so it lands next to one of your friends. So if you're running through an area, if you're running through the target area of an enemy, and while you're playing Mage Tower, you got to be careful about that ball, because you could very easily lose it with Disarming Strike. So you probably want to take exploits and stuff that let you ramp your strength saving throw, for example. So you have tactics, and then you have counter tactics, and all these things eat up the amount of powers that you can prepare and how you can modify your die rolls. So Disarming Strike, it's situational in a live D&D game, but like one of the main reasons why I'm building this is because I wanted to have martial characters go to Arcavius, which is the magic university in Strixhaven, right? So Arcavius is the world, Strixhaven is the college. So I wanted all classes in the game to have a reason to go to Strixhaven. So if all classes uses a mana pool, attending classes at Strixhaven isn't about learning how to cast spells. It then becomes about how do you control your mana. How do you choose what mana you channel, and how do you use it? Like either in spell casting or channeling powers or channeling like racial features and stuff like that, which we'll be able to build out once all the classes uses a mana pool. Then all the species that you could choose, all your ancestries can also have mana effects, because all characters will have mana, and it's just a matter of how do you spend it. So you can have a baseline like Dragonborn, for instance. They have their breath weapon, spend a point of mana, and you can regain a use of your breath weapon right away, for example. Like an Owlin or an Aarakocra can fly, for instance. Spend a point of mana, you can like double their speed this turn, or something like that. We haven't sussed it out yet, but we'll get there. We eventually get where we're going. It just takes a long time because I'm a one-man army and I'm thorough. So it takes time. Let's see. Interpose is a first-rank reaction, so let's take a look at that. Interpose. As a reaction to when an ally within reach of your melee attack takes damage from a source you can see, you can take any portion of that damage and gain resistance to it. So you become a shield for your ally. Sweeping Strike, at 13th level, we get Sweeping Strike. I think that still exists. It may have changed. Oh, no, there it is. Sweeping Strike, melee only. Your weapon damage increases by 1 power die per mana expended, and at 2nd rank, you have to spend 2 mana on it. Hold on, where'd it go? Oh, we made Sweeping Strike. Hold on. It's a 1st rank power now? Let's double check that. Your weapon damage increases by 1 power die per mana expended. You can choose a 2nd creature within 5 feet of the original target and within reach of your weapon of your reach to attack with the same roll. If the attack also hits the 2nd target, which it takes the same amount and type of damage rolled on the power dice. So it's kind of like a mild version. It's like a mana boosted version of Cleave. Cleave is one of the weapon masteries that if you hit, you can make a 2nd attack roll against another target within 5 feet, and if you hit, you can deal. It's your weapon damage, but I don't think you don't include your strength damage. Yeah, you don't include your ability point bonus. So like it would just be just weapon damage plus any like magic effects that you might have. But with this, it's 1 attack roll, and if that attack is enough to hit both targets, then they'll both be hit, but only the power dice that you rolled float through. The power dice damages the 1st target, but it would then also damage the secondary target. So it's a twofer. And just so you know, in this system, weapon masteries are treated like cantrips, while strikes are considered like spells. So you can't use hold on. There we go. Fixing my screens. So you can't use a cantrip. You can't use a weapon mastery and a strike at the same time. So like if I used a disarming strike, I wouldn't also be able to cleave, for instance. And like if I'm cleaving, that cleave attack can't use a strike power because the cleave itself is an effect. And I can't. Same thing with nick. Like if I use the nick property, the weapon that's nicking can't ramp with a strike power, and the 1st attack that triggered the nick is using the nicking weapon is the effect. The triggering condition is the 1st weapon that attacked. So I attack with a weapon. I could either use a strike power or I could say choose to nick, in which case I get a 2nd attack for free on top of it, and so in that way they don't intermingle like that. You can't cast a spell and a cantrip at the same time unless you have a class feature that says that you can, because exceptions override the general rules and character features. So similar effect with Sweeping Strike is like Cleave with a ramping damage sweep effect. Coordinated Dash is a 1st rank maneuver. So scrolling down to that. Once we get through these maneuvers, oh, that's right, and I have to change this. Yeah, 1st rank is appropriate because it's just a modified weapon mastery, so there's no reason to make it be a higher damage effect. We originally made it a higher damage effect just so it would do enough damage to be impactful, but it was too expensive and it's undermined by the sweep, so by Cleave. So when 2024 came out, we had to rebuild it so that Cleave, so it wasn't undermined, so we had to drop the level, and I just never updated that. So now we're looking at Coordinated Dash, right? Coordinated Dash, you can empower 1 ally per mana expended this way that can see or hear you to use their reaction to move up to half their speed without provoking opportunity attacks. There you go. Sometimes useful. Coordinated attack is often better, but if you gotta move, you gotta move, and you've got so many powers. And this one's for free. You may as well take it. 1st strike, 3rd rank exploit. When you roll initiative, if an enemy is within range of your weapon attack, it doesn't say melee, it's any weapon attack. Make an attack roll against that enemy instead of rolling initiative. The result of the attack roll is now also your initiative count. And hold on. The result of the attack roll is also your initiative count. You make a weapon attack. Whether you hit or not, the result of the attack roll is your initiative count. There you go. That might not be necessary. You might end up trimming that out, but I just wanted it to be in there for now. And the moving target is a reaction. So let's look at moving target. Moving target, as a reaction to when a creature you can see moves into or within the reach of your melee weapon, you can make an attack. You can make a weapon attack. Even if the target is using the disengage action, rolling 1 power die per mana channeled, adding the highest result to the attack roll. So again, you ramp the amount of mana, you increase the chances of hitting. And that's all the bonus power. So let's look at the features. When you take this archetype, your power die increases. So normally a battle master has a D8 at 3rd level, a D10 at 7th level, and then a D12 at 17th level. So we want to honor that. All classes start with a D6, then get a D8, and then end with a D10 at 17th level. The monk can use their martial arts die instead of that D6, D8, D10. The monk gets the D6, D8, D10, and ends with a D12 at 17th level. And the battle master also has a D12. So the battle master and the monk are the best at like coordinated dashes and maneuvering and stuff like that you would roll dice to modify die rolls or to modify damage. Monks and battle masters have the highest rank. Rangers also do at level 20 with Foe Hunter. They go from D6 to D10 at 17th, but then at 20th level, as long as the target is marked as your prey, you use D12s on anything that would require power dice against your chosen target. So that's useful. So there's some limited access things that can get up to a D12, but for almost everyone, it's a D10 max. So when you take this at 3rd level, your D6 becomes a D8. At 9th level, instead of a D10, it's a D10 instead of a D8, and then at 17th level, it's a D12. That's fine. Student of War, you gain the Skilled Feat. Skilled Feat gives you three proficiencies in either skills, language, or tools. So you must choose one artisan tool among the 3 skills or tools selected. So choose an artisan tool plus 2 of whatever you want. In addition, as a 1-minute meditation, you can swap a prepared power for a new one. So normally a fighter can, you have your prepared powers. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can swap one power for another one. And when you gain a level, you can swap all of your powers for new powers. But the Student of War, the Battle Master, of course, being the most tactical minded and most educated of the fighters in tactics of war, you can just take a 1-minute meditation and swap a prepared power for a new one. And you can do this once, regaining it when you finish a short or long rest. So every time you take a short rest, basically, you can swap a power as needed, which can come in handy. Like if right now we're in a dungeon, maybe I need a reaction to ramp my dexterity saving throw against traps, or maybe I need like the trap springer power so that I can gain advantage on detecting and disarming traps. But once I'm out of the dungeon, take a short rest, we're going to go back to town. Maybe I'll swap it out for empowered ability for charisma. So when I start haggling magic items for sale, I can do better on my die roll so I can win those haggles better. So I have that flexibility. 7th level, know your enemy. As a bonus action, you can use the study action, targeting a creature within 30 feet of yourself. No d20 test is needed. You learn if that creature has any immunities, resistances, vulnerabilities, or lethalities. You regain this feature when you finish a long rest or expend 1 mana. No action required. So you can use it once, or if you're willing to spend mana, you can use it again. Let's see. As a bonus action, you can use the study action. Let's do this. Currently it's a bonus action, and it requires you to spend mana on it because it doesn't say it's a type of action that we can use exploits with to gain free mana, but I'm thinking we should. As a unique maneuver, you can use the study action, targeting a creature. You can take as a bonus action, targeting a creature within 30 feet of yourself. No, you know what? I'm going to change that back. Yeah, we're just going to leave it be. I'm making it too complicated. I like this as it is. You can spend a point of mana to get it back. You got plenty of mana. There you go. Yeah, I don't need to mess around with that. That's pretty good. Master of Arms, level 10. You become a more diligent student of war. Choose 5 combat masteries. These don't count against the total number of masteries that you can prepare. And when you use the student of war feature to meditate, you can swap any number of these masteries for different ones. In addition, during your 1-minute meditation, you can now swap a number of prepared powers for new ones equal to the max rank of power you have gained as a fighter. And at level 10, you have your 3rd rank. So at 10th level, you can swap 3. At 13th level, you can swap 4. And at 17th level, you can swap 5. So this is encouraging you to stay inside the fighter class to continue improving. And looking at masteries real quick, masteries are considered cantrips. All weapons that a martial character is proficient with automatically can use the mastery associated with that weapon. But if you prepare a weapon mastery, you can use these masteries with any weapon. Like Graze, for instance. If you miss an attack, deal your attack ability modifier and weapon damage. That's straight from the player's handbook. That's part of, I think that's the battle axe. Like the 2-handed axe, Graze is part of the axe feature. So if you pick up an axe and you miss, you can graze automatically. But if I prepare Graze, if I miss with an arrow that I shoot, I can graze you anyway. So, and again, the mastery replaces a strike power. So I wouldn't be able, like, even though I dealt damage, I didn't actually hit with an attack. So I couldn't use a strike power even though I'm dealing damage. The strike is triggered by hitting a target and dealing damage, not just by dealing damage. So it's precise rules, but because of the precision of the rules, it actually works inside the 5e24 game engine properly. So we have, 12 different combat masteries? Yeah. Some of them, I mean, all the ones that are in the player's handbook exist here unattached to the weapon, but we have a bunch of extra stuff as well. So the one with asterisks already exists inside the player's handbook, but like grapple, for instance, for melee weapons, when you hit with a weapon, the target that you hit makes a dex or strength saving throw, and if they fail, they're grappled. But while they're grappled, you can't use that weapon to make any attacks until the grapple ends. So if you're using a 2-handed weapon and you grapple somebody, you can't attack with that 2-handed weapon, so you can let go one hand and they're still grappled with the 2-handed weapon, so I can now pull a dagger and start stabbing them with the dagger while I have their arm locked up with like a greatsword, for instance. Fun stuff. It's fun. It helps lean into that martial arts vibe where, like, wushu combat using weapons with martial arts. These weapon masters actually complement that fantasy really nicely. And I like what Wizards did with weapon masteries, but again, they're too cautious. We've been using masteries for months now since they came out, and being able to swap them around actually adds a ton of utility and maneuver and combat options to your character without limiting them to what sort of weapons they necessarily use. So, the trip attack, like for instance, topple. The only ranged weapon in the player's handbook that naturally has topple is javelins. So if you want to knock targets out of the sky, you can trip them. A javelin can trip, but if you pick up the topple mastery, if you prepare it, anything that you throw, you can use topple with. So you can always knock flying targets out of the sky with any weapon that you can throw and hit them with if you use the topple mastery on top of it. And again, you get access to that through preparation. So the ability for, at 10th level, for the Master of Arms to basically get 5 combat masteries out of 12, that potentially frees up a lot of prepared slots for you to learn other things that you may not have had budgeted for, because masteries don't cost mana. They're cantrips. They're really freaking useful. 15th level, Superior Maneuvers. When you take the attack action, you can forego 2 attacks to instead channel a maneuver. At 20th level, you can sacrifice all 4 attacks to instead channel 2 maneuvers separately. So maneuvers can be channeled as bonus actions or magic actions. Obviously, they expend mana, but normally, if you take the magic action, you can't take any attacks. The Battle Master can, at level 15, has 3 attacks as your attack action. So you could make an attack, sacrifice 2 attacks to get a maneuver, and then use your bonus action for another maneuver. So you can attack, maneuver. And obviously there's a huge list of what different types of maneuvers there are. So looking at our maneuver list here, tons of fun stuff. Regeneration, you can heal yourself. Curse of Enfeeblement, you can cause people to deal half damage with their weapon attacks until they succeed a strength save at the end of their turn. Flicker Pounce is a teleport effect, and when you teleport, you can make an attack roll. And if you hit, it costs 3 mana, so it's expensive. But you can teleport 30 feet, hit a target, and if you succeed in hitting, you can choose to teleport back to where you started from. So like a Battle Master could, if you wanted to, Flicker Pounce in as a bonus action. If you hit or miss, let's say you miss, you could then use your attack, and if you hit, you could then trigger Flicker Pounce again if you wanted to since you're already next to your target, if you flickered, you'd teleport away and then just appear back next to them again. So that wouldn't work. But so you could Flicker Pounce in. If you miss your attack, you could use a bonus action, or you could use your 1 attack to attack, and if you hit, you can then take your 2 remaining actions, sacrifice them to, shunt. Target 1 creature up to 1 size larger than you that you can see per mana expended. The target must make a strength saving throw or be pushed up to 10 feet away per mana channeled in any direction. You can roll a number of power dice equal to the mana expended, adding the highest roll to the save DC. So I could Flicker Pounce in, I could make an attack. If I miss, I could use my first attack action to hit you, and then I could use my 2 spare attacks, sacrifice those to then shunt my target and push them away from me. So I could then set myself up to Flicker Pounce in again. Fun stuff. Vanish. You can take the hide action, even if you don't have any cover to hide behind. And the maximum result of the hide, and the minimum result of the hide check is 15, even if your check is lower, even if your roll is lower, because you have to roll at least a 15 to be able to hide in 5e24. So this guarantees that you roll at least a 15, so you're always guaranteed to vanish as long as you have something that you can use to hide. And then you can remain hidden this way until the beginning of your next turn. So even this way, even if you aren't behind an object that can conceal you until the beginning of your next turn. So if I can move from like one pedestal to another, there's no, even if I'm in front of a guard, if I'm using the Vanish power, I could move from one pillar to another without breaking my invisibility, unless their observation check is higher than the result of my hide check. It doesn't automatically end being hidden unless I end my turn exposed. So it's really useful to use, and it's cheap. It's only 1 mana, so it's really cheap to use. In combat, I could sacrifice my reaction to be able to get free use of Vanish as part of my movement, for instance. That's superior maneuvers. And then finally, unparalleled power. Whenever you roll any power dice, replace all results of 1 to 5 with a 6, because I'm going to be rolling a d12 on my power die. So anytime my power die is anywhere from 1 to 5, it's considered a 6. So I can't roll less than my average on my power dice by level 18. And that's the Battle Master. Fucking sick. So let's move on to the champion. Make sure it's all in place. Powers, empowered ability. I'm not going to necessarily go through the detail. Again, you can look at all these powers yourself. Here, if you wanted to look at it yourself, it's It's right here. This is the document that we're looking at right here. You can click on that if you're interested. I'm going to scroll up and put this in place. There we go. So I'm just gonna spot check to make sure that they're the appropriate level. Empowered ability is first level. Tavern Brawler is a feat. That's right. The system gives you feats. So instead of learning a power, like instead of preparing a power, you can prepare a feat instead. Feats don't give you when you prepare a feat this way. There are no prerequisites, but you don't gain the ability bonus either. So it's just the features of the feat that you get, not the ability bonus, but you don't have to worry about prereqs. So at first level, you have 4 prepared powers. You also don't get like a fighting style for free. You don't get weapon masteries for free. You have to prepare those off of your list. So if you wanted to be a normal fighter, you can get 4 powers at first level. 3 can be weapon masteries, like a fighter would normally get, and you could get 1 fighting weapon style as a feat. Here's your fighting style feats. Or if you wanted to instead, you could select 4 different things. Up to you. So Tavern Brawler is a feat. Thundering Strike we know is a first rank strike. Rogue Stance. It basically gives you bonus action, dash, dodge, disengage. That's Rogue Stance, Sustained Power 1. I know that's still true. Saving Grace. That's a reaction. I think it's still reaction 2. Get past the strikes into reactions. Saving Grace. There it is. If you fail a D20 test, re-roll it, including any number of power dice. Keep the new results. So if I rolled, say, 3 power dice and I got like a 12 on a D20 test, I could choose to re-roll. I could re-roll like maybe 2 of the power dice, keeping the best result of those 3, and re-roll the D20. I'm going to have to keep the new results, but if the die roll sucked anyway, I may as well swap it out. It'll cost me 2 mana to do it, but I can use it. It's a reaction, so I can use it pretty much, whenever. I can use it once, whenever I'm making the saving throw. It's just a complete rewrite. So, and this is for the champion. It makes sense that the champion would be able to do that. Saving Grace. Double Strike is a maneuver. Double Strike, maneuver 2. Where'd you go, buddy? Double Strike, there you are. You can make 2 weapon attacks against the same or different targets. These attacks can't be sacrificed to generate mana. So again, this is a maneuver. So I could sacrifice my bonus action to get 2 attacks. Or I could sacrifice a magic action to get 2 attacks. So a rogue, for instance, might want to take Double Strike so that you have multiple attacks per turn. It'll cost you mana to do it, but you can. So you can try to, like, if you need to hit that sneak attack, you could double down with your double strikes. Obviously, as a fighter champion, it just gives you more attacks. Roll up the hit. That is a reaction that reduces damage. I'm pretty sure that's still 2nd rank. Maneuvers, reactions. Roll with the hit. As a reaction to taking damage from an attack, you reduce the damage by half. It's basically uncanny dodge, but it'll cost you 2 mana to do it. And then Hexproof is a 4th rank reaction, which you get at 13th level, so that's appropriate. Hexproof. As a reaction to when a creature you can see uses the magic action or casts a spell that targets only you, you are unaffected by it, wasting the action. Any mana spent on the wasted action is regained. So it basically just prevents them. It shuts down the effect. It's expensive with 4 mana, but if you don't want to get disintegrated, it's super useful. Indestructible, sustained 4. I'm certain that's still true. Indestructible is when sustaining this power, it costs 4 mana to sustain it. And it's a sustained power, so it eats up almost your entire battery of sustainable powers. You can have up to you can have a number of mana sustained equal to your max rank of power. So at 13th level, you can sustain up to 4 points of mana, whether it's a 4th rank power or 4 first rank powers or 2 second rank powers or a 1st rank power and a 3rd rank power. There you go. So indestructible eats up 4 out of a potential 5 at 17. But what it gives you is you gain resistance to all damage, and attacks can't score crits against you. But in addition, as a reaction to taking damage, you can dismiss this ability. So while you sustain this effect, you have this huge resistance and you can't be critted. But if you're willing to give that up as a reaction, you throw that away. But in return, until the beginning of your next turn, you're immune to whatever type of damage is being triggered. So if I fall into a lake of lava while I have Indestructible active, I could dismiss Indestructible and become immune to fire damage until... let's see, I choose until... If you do, until the beginning of your next turn, you are immune to the triggering damage effect. Right, so if I jump into lava, I would have a full turn to be able to get out of the lava. If somebody pushes me into the lava, I won't take damage upon falling in. If you do, until the end of your next turn. I'm going to change that to until the end of your next turn. I think that jives better. And Rite of Revival, it's a reaction. I believe that was a, I believe Rite of Revival was a Blood Hunter ability at some point. Or, I mean, it still is, but we basically stole everything from the Blood Hunter and made them into mana things. So, like, if you like the Blood Hunter's abilities, you could, like, play like a Paladin Blood Hunter, a Barbarian Blood Hunter, a Rogue Blood Hunter, a Ranger Blood Hunter, and just pick a bunch of Blood Hunter abilities as your prepared powers. And, hey, look at me. I'm a Blood Hunter now. Rite of Revival. As a reaction to when you drop to 0 hit points but don't die outright, you remain conscious and roll a number of power dice equal to the mana channeled, which is 4. So you roll 4 D8 or D10, depending on your level. And you gain that many hit points instead. So instead of dying, you get hit points back if you have a reaction to do it with. Nice. Okay, so that's all the abilities. That's all the bonus powers. So improved critical. When you roll a 19 or a 20 on a weapon attack roll, you score a critical hit. This is like, this and the Ranger are the only two, are pretty much the only two classes, the only two subclasses in the game that we give crit stacking to. It's because crit stacking with strikes is ridiculously powerful. Remarkable Athlete at 7. You have advantage on initiative rolls, strength, athletics, and dexterity acrobatic checks. In addition, when you score a critical hit or channel a maneuver as a bonus action, you can move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attack. So when you score a critical hit or channel a maneuver as a bonus action, you score a critical hit with an attack. In addition, once per round. In addition, once per turn, when you score a critical hit or when you channel a maneuver as a bonus action, you can move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attack. That's just hustle. It's good. Heroic Warrior at 10. During combat, you can give yourself heroic inspiration whenever you start a turn without it. So that's just basically a D20 rye roll. Any turn, when you start, whenever you start a turn without it. So every turn during combat, you generate a free point of inspiration that you can use for yourself or give to somebody else to re-roll a die. That's crazy good utility. Superior Critical takes you to an 18 to 20 at level 15. And then Survivor, when bloodied, which is when you're at half your hit points or less, you regain hit points equal to 5 plus your Constitution modifier. In addition, when you make a death saving throw, a result of 18 to 20 gains the benefits of rolling a 20, meaning 18, 19, 20 is 2 successes instead of 1. So that takes care of the champion. That language is good. I'm happy with it. It's there. Eldritch Knight is a spellcaster. So instead of gaining bonus powers with this archetype, you can choose a selection of cantrips and spells from the wizard's list instead. Spell casting follows all the normal rules for components, maintaining concentration, etc. Cantrips. At 3rd level, choose 2 cantrips from the wizard's spell list to learn. Preparing spells, level 1+. At 3rd level, choose 2 spells up to level 1 from the wizard's spell list to prepare. Changing your cantrips and spells. When you gain a level, you can change any number of cantrips or spells gained for new ones up to the maximum level spell listed below. At 3rd level, you can choose 2 cantrips and 2 level 1 spells. At 7th level, you can choose any combination of 6 cantrips or spells up to level 2. At level 13, you can choose any combination of 8 cantrips or spells up to level 3. And at level 19, you can choose any combination of 10 cantrips or spells up to level 4. Preparing spells, up to 2 spells. You can prepare additional spells as you gain levels. Level 7. You can you gain 2 additional spells or cantrips. Two additional cantrips or spells up to 7th level. Level 13, you gain 2 additional cantrips or spells up to 3rd level, up to level 3, sorry, level 2, up to level 2, up to level 3. At level 19, you gain 2 additional cantrips or spells up to level 4. So we have 2. 2 here and then 2 here. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Level 3, you have total of 4, total of 6. Total of 4. Total of 8. Total of 10. When you gain a level, you can change any number of cantrips or spells gained for new ones up to the maximum level of spell listed below. At level 3, let's see. What spell you can cast. There you go. Yeah. I could probably word that better, but that's good for now. Changing your cantrips. Spellcasting ability. You can use your channeling ability, which is either strength, dex, or intelligence. Spellcasting focus. You can use your weapon. Maintaining concentration on a spell follows the rules as presented in the color mana spell point variant rules on a DMsGuild. Each rank of power you sustain. So if you're sustaining powers, it reduces the maximum level spell you can concentrate on. So a 5th level fighter can sustain 2 ranks of power, but a 5th level fighter can only cast 1st level spells. So you could put 1 rank. You could maintain concentration on a 1st level spell, and you can sustain a 1st rank power at the same time. Or you could sustain 2 1st level spells, or you could sustain 2 1st rank powers. And you're not limited. None of the classes, none of the characters in this system are limited. You can cast spells as actions and bonus actions in the same turn. The exception to this is the Scion and the Sorcerer, which is if you use your Quickened ability, like Quicken Casting, that Quicken Casting spell, you can't, as a bonus action, you can't cast another leveled spell as a magic action, but you can still use a cantrip. So that's the one exception, because spells that are already coded to being bonus actions is basically either damage spells or teleportation or like armor class defense type spells. So there's very little in the game that's a bonus action that unto itself breaks the system. The only thing that breaks the system is the Sorcerer with quickened spells. So instead of wizards making a rule that says that the Sorcerer, when they use quickened spells, they can't do 2 spells in the same turn, they instead decided to make it no one can use 2 spells in the same turn. Especially not the Sorcerer. It's unnecessary, because there's like maybe 12 or 13 spells that are bonus actions to cast in 5e24, and like 8 of them are like ranger or paladin spells to deal extra damage. So and the rest of them are just teleportation or like resistance or like spiritual weapon, dragon breath. They're just damage spells or teleportation spells. There's nothing broken about bonus actions unto themselves casting of the spell. It's the Sorcerer that breaks it. So you place the limitation on the Sorcerer's quickened magic so they can still do that, but when they do it, you can't cast another spell as a magic action. You can only do a cantrip. That's the easiest way to do it, and I don't know why wizards won't do that. But anyway, there you go. Hey, what's up? Hey, Ryan. How you doing? Recently started brewing an epic level campaign where the BBEG is a lich who has his phylactery carved into the bones of a Trask. Working with that as the person. That is a fantastic idea. Nice move, my man. Nice move. I wholly encourage that behavior. Good job. War Bond, level 3. So yeah, War Bond. You can perform a 1-hour ritual to create a magical bond between yourself and one item that you can hold in your hand. The item must remain within 5 feet of you. Ritual stuff. Once an item is bonded to you, if it's on the same plane of existence as you, you can use a bonus action to summon the object to your hand, and the object cannot be disarmed while you hold it unless you are incapacitated. So you don't have time to bond to the ball in Mage Tower, so we don't have to worry about that breaking the system. You can have up to 2 items bonded this way. Each requires a separate ritual to bond and a separate bonus action to summon. If you choose to bond with a 3rd object, you must break the bond with one of the others. Okay. Level 7, War Magic. Once per round, when you take the attack action, you can forgo up to 1 attack instead to cast an Eldritch Knight cantrip with a casting time of 1 action. And again, you can have up to 10 cantrips if you really want to. You don't have to actually have leveled spells. Leveled spells are super useful. You might want to, but you don't have to. Here's a kicker. Remember how I was saying that you can't use temporary mana to cast spells? Well, at level 10, Eldritch Strike, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the target has disadvantage on the next saving throw against a spell or a power or spell you cast. A power spell you cast. Let's see, I want to word that differently. The next saving throw against a power or spell. No. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the target has disadvantage on the next saving throw against a power. I want to word that differently. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the target has disadvantage on the next saving throw you force it to make before the end of your next turn. So that could be like a trip attack from Topple. It could be a grappling saving throw to avoid you. It could be this. It could be a fireball that you lob. It could be a banish power effect that you use. It can be anything. So we're not limiting it just to spell casting because we have more flexibility with that. We have more flexibility than just spell casting with the power system. Here's the fun part. When you sacrifice your bonus action during combat to generate temporary mana, you can expend that mana to cast one of your bonus spells with a duration of instant or concentration instead of channeling a power. So, and again, we were talking about earlier. There. We were talking earlier about action economy. Generating temporary mana with empowered actions. Temporary mana is mana that you have it this turn, and at the end of this turn, if you haven't used it, it goes away. That's a very Magic the Gathering sort of idea, like tap a Llanna War elf and you gain a point of mana, or like tap a pest. For each pest that you tap, gain 1 point of mana. That's temporary mana. It goes away at the end of your turn, or at the end of this turn. So empowered actions generate mana, and just to touch this again, when you sacrifice your reaction, you generate a point of free mana. You can sacrifice your reaction at any time. You can sacrifice attacks. When you take the attack action, like an 11th level fighter has 3 attacks, I can sacrifice all 3 of those attacks to gain 3 points of temporary mana to use with my bonus action, my movement, or if I have a reason to use my reaction during my own turn. There. And then the bonus action, depending on what level I am, is going to determine, or what the max rank of power I can channel, is going to determine how much mana I get for my bonus action. So at 17th level, I get 3. At 1st level, I get 1. At 9th level, I get 2, right? D6 power die, D8 power die, D10 power die. There's a pattern here. First rank powers, third rank powers, 5. 1, 3, 5. Temporary mana gains, 1, 2, 3. There you go. So I can sacrifice this mana, and at 10th level, I can sacrifice 2 mana as a bonus action. That would give me enough mana to cast up to a 2nd level spell for free without actually having to use my mana pool at all. But it has to either be an instant spell or a concentration spell. There you go. The Ranger can do that as early as level 1. But the Ranger's utility list is very, very different. But full casters can't do this at all. And it's only with... when you sacrifice a bonus action during combat to generate temporary mana, you can spend that mana to cast one of your bonus spells. So again, up here, you can have up to 10 bonus spells or up to 10 cantrips or any mix between. So when you get this ability, and you can change all of your power, you can swap all your spells when you gain a level. So when you get to level 10, you can take a look at the list. Like, what of those things would I like to be able to burn both my bonus action and my magic action to be able to cast? And then you do that. There you go. At level 7, we can sacrifice 1 attack to cast a cantrip. And then at level 15, Arcane Charge, when you use Action Surge, you can teleport up to an unoccupied space that you can see within 30 feet away before the end of the turn. And you can expend 4 mana from your mana pool to regain a use of Action Surge without requiring an action. It's expensive because at 15th level you only have 15 mana, so it's pricey to do it, but it pays for itself. And then Improved War Magic at 18th level, once per round when you take the attack action, you can use 1 attack to instead cast an Eldritch Knight cantrip or one of your Eldritch Knight bonus spells with a casting time of 1 action. I'm going to change that. Once per round, when you take the attack action, you can use 2 attacks. Because the Battle Master earlier, you could sacrifice 2 attacks to channel a maneuver during the attack action. So we're going to change this. So once per round, when you take the attack action, you can use 2 attacks to instead cast an Eldritch Knight cantrip. I'm going to get rid of that. To instead cast one of your bonus Eldritch Knight spell. One of your bonus spells. I don't need that. Without a casting time. With a casting time of 1 action. There you go. So this doesn't give you the ability to cast as a bonus action. It's still like a modified, it's like a modified magic action. Once per round, when you take the attack action, so you can't use this as part of an action surge. So action surge would not allow you to use this twice. You could still action surge and do a shitload of attacks, but you wouldn't be able to cast more than a first level spell once per round that way, unless it's a spell that automatically already can be cast as a bonus action, which at this point is pretty much a teleportation spell. So cheers. I like that. That works well. Okay, great. So Psy Warrior, the last of the graduated classes that are in the 2024 book. La-di-da. So far, so good. Okay, cool. So let's look at our list of powers, make sure they're all current. And then we'll go through the details. Psionic Strike, that should still be a first rank strike. Let's go check it out. Check it out. Strikes. First rank, Psionic Strike, 1 mana. Your weapon can deal force damage or psychic damage and increases damage by 1 power die per mana channel. It costs at least 1 mana. Now all your damage is either going to be psychic or force damage. Appropriate for the Psy Warrior. Telekinesis is a feat. You get it for free. We did that with the Scion as well. The Scion gets the telekinetic and... sorry, it's not telekinesis. It's telekinetic. Telekinetic and telepathic. The Scion gets both telepathic and telekinetic for free. Abundant Step is a first rank aspect. It lets you fly instead of walk for the duration of your movement. Psychic damage is a damage type. So again, we have all these powers that you can spend mana on, like spells. And we have all these meta powers. Combat Masteries are meta powers that you can prepare to use with any weapon. And then feats, we can pick up feats as prepared powers. We don't get the ability bonus from the feats, but we also don't have prereqs. So you can load up on your favorite feat array as your powers on your fighter. And then we also have alternate damage types. So you can prepare acid. So whenever you attack, you can just choose to deal acid damage with your weapons. Advanced damage types come in at fifth level because they're second rank powers. Force, Necrotic, Psychic, Radiant Thunder, those are second rank. This basic type of damage is first rank. There you go. Like poison, it doesn't poison you, it's just poison damage. So Thunder, there's very few things in the game that are resistant to Thunder damage, Radiant damage, Psychics, Necrotic, or Force. So that's why these are a higher level than these basic damage types. These are very common, and there's a lot of things immune to this sort of stuff. More so than some more than others, but generally the advanced types have far less creatures that are resistant or immune to them. So you have to be at least 5th level to get access to them. So Psychic damage, expert. You get psychic damage here if you spend mana at 3rd level, but by 5th level you can do it for free. Dire Impact. Oh, we got rid of Dire Impact. That doesn't exist anymore. It was breaking the game too much with Barbarian, so instead of trying to fix it or modify the Barbarian, it was easier just to get rid of it. So we got rid of Dire Impact, so that frees up power. We have Flatten. So let's go look at Flatten as a maneuver real quick. You know what? Vex. I think I'm going to take Vex. Mastery. Let's take... let's see. Let's put Vex, because Vex gives you advantage. When you hit with an attack, you have advantage on the next attack roll. That feels pretty good to me. Abundant Step. We'll drop Vex to 5th because we don't have to have them at a specific level. It's just whenever it's convenient or makes sense thematically or flavor-wise to get access to it is when you get access to it. So Vex, psychic damage. Abundant Step is flight. That makes sense because you'd be able to fly it at 9th level normally. 3rd level spells, right? And then Flatten. Let's look at Flatten real quick because it's fun. Flatten. Choose a creature that you can see standing on a surface that can support its weight, up to size large. It takes 1 power die of force damage per mana expended this way and is knocked prone. Spent mana. Spend 3 mana, it can be huge. Spend 5 mana, it can be gargantuan. So it's only costs 1 mana to deal a little bit of damage and you knock them prone. There you go. Yeah, I'm good with that. Defensive Barrier is a reaction, and then there's Shunt. Let's look at Shunt since we're here. Shunt. Target one creature up to one size larger than you that you can see per mana spent. So at 17th level, you have up to 5th rank powers. You can, with 5 mana, you can target up to 5 creatures that are one size larger than you. If you can make yourself size large, that means you can target huge size creatures. If you're size small, you can only do medium. The target must make a strength saving throw or be pushed up to 10 feet away per mana channeled in any direction. You can roll a number of power dice equal to the mana expended, adding the highest roll to the saving throw. If I only spend 1 point of mana, it's only going to be one target being moved 10 feet. If it's straight up, maybe they'll take D6 damage. If you're 17th level, pushing 5 targets 50 feet in the air to take 5d6 damage, that's not so bad. They can roll for half damage. They can save for half damage. So it's not actually that broken by the time you scale up to that point. Like, you're giving up an action to do this. That's barely worth it. It's 5 mana. That's expensive. Like wizards could do better with that mana, but this is just something you can throw in as like a bonus action. Celerity. Oh, and we're going to look at Defensive Barrier. That's a 3rd rank reaction. Defense Barrier. How long have I been doing this? I got to check my timer. Oh, okay, we're almost done. We're going to finish up Side Warrior, and then we're done for the day. And when we come back, when we're back on Monday night, we're going to go through the Forsaken subclasses that did not graduate to 2024 that we already translated. So, Defense Barrier, reaction 3 equals... as a reaction to a source you can see targeting you with an attack, you create a momentary opaque barrier granting you full cover against that attack, causing it to automatically miss unless it ignores full cover. The barrier disappears at the beginning of your next turn. So you can just temporarily make objects that gives you cover. You could also potentially hide behind that if you want to take the hide action. As a reaction to a source, which means it could be a trap as well. So keep that in mind. And then Celerity. Telekinetic Bubble is maneuver 4. Let's look at Telekinetic Bubble since we're over here already. TK Bubble. Choose a creature that is up to large size that you can see. It becomes trapped in a resilient sphere. As per the spell, the creature can dex save to end the effect at the end of each of its turns, or you can dismiss it early as reaction. Kicker, or you can dismiss it early, period. It doesn't have to be a reaction to dismiss it. You can just end it. Kicker. For 2 mana, it can be a huge creature. For 4 mana, extra mana on top of the 4 mana you're already spending, you could add 2 more mana to it to get a huge size creature. Or for a whopping 8 mana total, you can TK Bubble a gargantuan creature that's up to 20 feet in size. If it's like the Tarask, which is like 50 by 70, it's too big to bubble. You can't bubble it. But they also get a chance to break free each round. So there's that. And then, oh yeah, we were going to look at Celerity. Is it Celerity? Yeah, Celerity. Celerity is a sustained power. So you turn this on, it stays on all day until it's dispelled, or you lose consciousness. Or you're incapacitated, actually, is the actual answer. Celerity. While sustaining this power, you gain the following benefits. Haste. Movement speed doubles, +2 to your armor class. You gain advantage on dexterity saving throws from sources that you can see. You gain an additional bonus action to make a weapon attack, dash, dodge, disengage, or channel a maneuver or sustain power. That action cannot be sacrificed to generate mana. That action cannot be sacrificed to generate mana. There you go. So it's just going to cost you... Double strike, though. I'm looking at double strike, and I'm thinking that's a maneuver. That's going to give you an extra bonus action. It's 3 mana to channel it, and then you basically forever have... yeah, I'm going to have to get rid of that. I will allow it to be a sustained power, but or channel a sustained power. Maneuver is too rich. Sustained power, though, that's good action economy. Because you can sustain multiple powers at the same time up to your max channel limit. So at level 17, you can channel up to 5 mana. Celerity is going to eat up 3 of it, but that leaves 2 points open. So you could have 2 first-rank powers in addition to this, or a second-rank power in addition to this. So I'm okay with that standing like that. That makes sense. Okay, those are the features. So now, Psionic Power. Protective Field. When you or another creature that you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you create a momentary shield of telekinetic force. See how that's tied into Defense Barrier at 13th level? This is a Protective Shield instead. Telekinetic Force as a reaction. Roll a number of power dice per mana expended up to your max channel limit. The damage taken is reduced by an amount equal to the sum of the power dice rolled plus your channeling ability modifier, minimum reduction of 1. Telekinetic Adept. When you cast the Mage Hand spell, you don't need to maintain concentration on it, because you get telekinetic at third level, so you automatically have Mage Hand as a cantrip. So there you go, Telekinetic Adept. 7th level TK Adept. How about we're going to change this to Persistent Telekinetics. When you cast a Mage Hand spell, you don't need to maintain concentration on it. There you go. Telekinetic Adapt. Psi Power Leap. You gain the benefit of the efficient power feat when you channel Abundant Step, and the speed is automatically doubled without paying the 1 point kicker cost. So efficient power basically means that when you channel this power, it pays for itself. So you don't have to spend mana on Abundant Step, so you can fly your movement rate this turn, but you have to land on a solid surface or you fall. And the speed is automatically doubled. You could double it by paying 1 point, you could triple it by paying 2 points, you could quadruple it by paying 3 points, etc. And then Telekinetic Thrust. When you deal psychic damage with a weapon attack, you can use the Push or Topple Mastery in addition to any other effects, meaning like strike powers at the same time. So, and you can always choose to deal psychic damage if you want to, because at level 5, you have the ability to deal psychic damage at will. Guarded Mind at 10. The psionic energy flowing through you has bolstered your mind. You have resistance to psychic damage. Moreover, if you start your turn charmed or frightened, you can expend 1 mana to end every effect on yourself, subjecting you to these conditions. Not bad. Conditional, but not bad. Bulwark of Force. You can shield yourself and others with telekinetic force. As a 3rd rank sustained power, a number of creatures up to your max rank of power you've gained as a fighter, including yourself, which at 15th level is a minimum of 4. It'll be 5 at 17th level. Within 30 feet of you has half cover. You can change who benefits when you use telekinetic force. A number of you can shield yourself to a max power you gain fighter. Let's see. As a bonus action while the power is sustained, you can change who benefits from this feature as a bonus action while this is sustained. As a unique maneuver, you can shield, and I want to say it that way because now you can channel, you can now sacrifice action economy to do this for free. I'm sorry, I didn't need to do that. You can, as a 3rd rank, that's what I need to do. As a unique 3rd rank sustained power, you can shield yourself, blah, blah, blah. A number of creatures up to the max rank of power you've gained as a fighter, including yourself, within 30 feet of you have half cover. You can change who benefits from this feature as a bonus action while the power is sustained. In addition, that's right, sustained powers cannot use action economy to pay for it, so that's cool. In addition, once per round, when one of the creatures benefiting from this cover is hit by an attack, you can use your reaction to increase their protection by granting full cover against the attack, causing it to automatically miss unless it ignores full cover. The barrier diminishes after the attack, returning to half cover. So that's kind of like, again, this is like an enhanced version of defense barrier. So at low levels, TK the protective field at third level, you can use a reaction to reduce damage taken. At 13th level, you get defense barrier, which allows you to basically create cover to block and attack all together against you. And then at 15th level, you can enhance that to provide cover to multiple targets and use a reaction to give them full cover. So it's just enhancing things that you can already do. There's a scale there. And then 18th level, you can duplicate telekinesis as a sustained effect, channeling 5 mana to do so. While sustaining this effect, you can use a magic action and bonus action during your turn, similar to a maneuver power, to target a creature or object, but no more than one target at a time. So basically, you can have telekinesis active all day as long as you're willing to eat all your sustained slots to do it. Pretty cool. All right, that's all of those. So those I'll check out. We had a little bit of language updating to do, some better understanding of how the martial powers system is using after a lot of play testing on my Discord channel. I'm out of time. When we come back on Monday night, we're going to have probably a 3-hour block of time that we can spend going through the rest of the Forsakens, the Arcane Archer, the Banneret, also known as the Purple Dragon Knight. We'll look at the UA, see what that's doing. Cavalier is in here. The Echo Knight isn't an official WotC class, but everyone loves it, so I'm going to put that one on my Patreon. Rune Knight is a biggie, and that was a lot of fun to rebuild with. It's got a lot going on, but it's really fun. And Samurai, he's representing in here. And then we get to the Monk, and we'll go through the same process with the Monk, probably starting Tuesday. We'll probably finish the Monk on Thursday. Friday we'll get started with the Ranger. We'll finish the Ranger by Monday. And then Tuesday next week, we'll start with the Paladin. Finish the Paladin by Thursday. Start with the, Paladin, then Ranger. Then Rogue will start on Friday next week. And then, Tuesday the following week. And we're starting to get a couple weeks out. But then we'll get through the Rogue. And we've already done the Warlock. We've already done the Artificer. So yeah, 2 weeks from now, literally 2 weeks from today, we should be done with revising everybody. So everything will be current. And then we'll start in on Strixhaven sports rules. So we can start doing combat matches, playing Mage Tower in Strixhaven. So that's one of my major goals for this project, is to give martial characters scholarships to play Mage Tower at Strixhaven. Anyway. That's it for today, guys. If you think this stuff is fun, I stream 9 times per week. Monday through Friday in the morning, we do artwork. Lunch times and evenings like this on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. We do game design like this, specifically martial powers right now. And then on my Discord, we play test Saturday mornings. So if you think this stuff is cool, check out my books down below. You can support me on Patreon. Buy some of my books after you look at them. Like, subscribe, bell icon for notifications, and we'll be back on Monday morning. I'll see you guys then. Thanks a lot.